Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to those of you around the world. Welcome to the daily trade chain crypto update, where we give you everything you need to know for the next 24 hours and hopefully the next few days. Today is Tuesday, September 27th, and we are coming off of a very interesting morning. Bitcoin is down, I believe, about 4% from the highs yesterday, or actually 6% down from the highs yesterday. And equities have broken beneath range that we've been talking about for quite some time as well. Let's actually fix this line a little bit. So this was the range, deviation, double top, and then now we are below the range. This is the start of the range that we mentioned on yesterday's show. So just wanted to, update on the doom and gloom. But, when we're looking at sentiment, interestingly enough, I think Bitcoin is actually going to roll over here after that bullishness. And then Ethereum obviously, grew bearish into the evening, which, definitely was a signal for a short. And, obviously this bullishness from Bitcoin and Ethereum is obviously good signal for the long. But what, interestingly enough, hourly sentiment has come off pretty strongly as well for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Ethereum, oddly enough, they've been a bit inverse lately, but Bitcoin, in my opinion, has been definitely leading the pack. Another interesting thing I want to note before we dig into price action is just how thin Ethereum looks for some reason. And I have not seen the order books look this thin, but when we are stacking up, and let's let the volume profile load, but just look in comparison to Bitcoin and ETH. Look how stacked, this order book is and how, thick it is with interest. And then the same comparison to ETH, I mean, we're on the same time frame. We can even zoom out, it's a lot more thin. So that's very interesting to see as well in comparison between these two assets. So, and actually let's check out ETH Bitcoin just to say we did, because I think that'll be interesting. Actually ETH does look like it may be, beginning to gain on Bitcoin. So that's definitely something to look out for as well. That's definitely, what you would look for in a bottoming pattern for ETH compared to Bitcoin. So although the ETH order books look thin, and that is an extremely ugly daily, based on ETH Bitcoin, the ETH Bitcoin chart, it does look like Bitcoin may take a harder tumble than Ethereum in the near term. So, that's ETH USD, that's the daily, but ETH BTC looks strong. They can both go down, but ETH can still gain on Bitcoin and compare, when you're comparing both of those two assets. So, it was definitely an interesting observation that the order books look thin, but for some reason, Bitcoin, does look a little bit weaker in comparison to ETH. So something to watch out for there. And that could mean that ETH, moves in a much more volatile fashion compared to Bitcoin as well. Let's see what it is down from off its highs. Yeah, so it's, oddly enough, I don't know. So, my original thesis is a little bit invalidated based on that, because ETH or Bitcoin obviously moved 6% and ETH only moved 5%. But, that's just so weird to see, the lack of interest in ETH compared to Bitcoin, especially when ETH BTC does appear to be a little bit strong. So something to take note of. We'll continue to track that. Obviously not definitive, but, looking at the S&P 500 futures, we can see it gets obviously a little hairy when you keep zooming out here, but this was the range that we drew yesterday, right around 3570 all the way down to 3400 ish. And if we zoom into the daily, you can see that we are beneath the June lows, and obviously moving down towards that range relatively quickly. And that is an ugly, ugly, ugly one-day candle. Typically, that signals more downturn. Typically, of course, it has to close like this as well, close below the range. And I would expect this to spell more bearishness, maybe not straight down, but definitely more bearishness is likely. And that is certainly not a reversal pattern. In my opinion, that is very unattractive for for trading. So no, I'm sure no surprise, Bitcoin has obviously continued lower as well. It is now back in the value area from yesterday, as we can see here. From where it's actually in the 24th of September's value, as this is the 25th, and now we are in the 26th. So this is where you would expect some type of reversal. Obviously, it cut through that liquidity at 19.1. I put that in the trade the chain community. That would likely be a target. Cut through that pretty quickly. I mean, it's extremely oversold. It's back in value. It's at this POC, and I believe it is sitting just on the last legs of a trend. Yeah, right here. So it's kind of not on the exact last legs, but it is. It is holding on by a thread here. So typically what you'd expect, unless it just slices straight down, you would expect it to at least come back up here and test this liquidity, maybe this liquidity, before heading back lower. And it could do that again too before it heads back down. But, if equities, I say that take this with a grain of salt, because this would have been the assumption prior, with equities making new lows, especially looking very ugly, one might think that Bitcoin just slices right through. But, clearly, it's down 6% already. It's getting oversold. Hourly definitely has room to drop, as it proved, nearly over a week ago, the weekend before last. And, it could definitely continue lower. So I'm not gonna say that, Bitcoin definitely can't continue lower here. It certainly can. It would just make a little bit more sense technically for it to have some sort of reversal, get some longs, flush out some shorts, come up here, and then either make a move or head higher. I would say that is, that is something that is more likely than not. You typically just don't see that straight slice through. But again, with equities looking ugly, if this does not reverse and try and tag, this level again before heading lower or heading back into the range, then it could drag Bitcoin down with it. So very similarly for ETH, let's draw that little trend there again. Very similar to Bitcoin, obviously. Ethereum definitely has a little bit more room to roam in terms of potential downside right here, before you would expect it to pick back up. Or, obviously it can just head here, consolidate, and then head lower. Considering we're talking, around lunchtime Eastern, and, most of this move has played out, you may be able to get a bit of a scalp short, down lower from here, maybe 1% or something like that. But I wouldn't start stacking shorts, unless you've already been in a short. You're probably getting it a little bit late. But again, if equities continue lower, the right trade could be on your side. And we have seen ugliness like this before, but it would just make more sense to, or potential deviation here and come back up a little bit, test some liquidity up here, and then head lower. That's typically how the prices will move. But obviously, if we just continue to slice straight through all this liquidity, then, none of that really matters at the end of the day. So we're just kind of looking at, we're looking at where our trends and where our indicators would tell us some support, some consolidation may occur. And then, after that consolidation is really when you want to make your next move. Like obviously up here, oversold, consolidation, a little bit of bearish divergence, tweezer tops, and then it falls lower. So here, in my opinion, there's no reason to really dive in and take the risk if you basically you feel that the same thing might happen. Maybe we come up a little bit, maybe we head back a little bit lower, then we head up a little bit higher, and then we end up falling back down. That's certainly plausible. Or
sorry, I'm having trouble connecting to the internet.
Alexa likes to talk at the most random times. So, in reference to these trades, I think, the best opinion right now is, considering it's after lunch, is wait and see. So I would wait till the end of the US close. And then I would, if nothing, really happens there in the direction that you want it to, then I would wait for the daily close. Because interestingly enough, the daily close happens right here at 5 p.m. my time, 8 p.m. Eastern. Right after the daily close, we obviously had a giant spike, so it doesn't happen every daily close, but you will see, this daily close that moved higher. This daily closed after a big drop that moved higher. So a lot of moves do happen at or around the daily close. So again, if you're confused, if you're worried, if you don't have a trade, take some time off, come back at the end of the US session, see how things react when equities are closed. And then, if no real reaction happens, then wait till, 8 p.m. Eastern and check and see how the daily closes. Because we could definitely consolidate here, daily closes, and then we pipe back up, up to, recent resistance, which would be right around here, potentially all the way up here. And then we could potentially consolidate back down, move higher, or consolidate back lower. But that's your trade opportunity, is you see, you get some consolidation at the current price level, and then you wait for the daily close, and then you make your trade, you execute your trade, and then you wait for the next one, which typically happens around US market open, which, if you will observe here, US market open right around here, and then everything started dropping like a rock. And we'll look at equities, equities opened literally right here. So they jumped up a little bit, and then they started dropping like a rock. So typically your heaviest trading sessions are your areas for the best, volatility, best trade will typically be US market open, daily close. Sometimes US market close, depending on what's going on in crypto, because then crypto will then move independently from equities, when equities close, especially during the weekends. But, typically, start, daily close, start of the US session, fantastic trading opportunities. So in my opinion, could we slice through this and move lower? Certainly. That is 100% plausible. But if equities do not continue immediately lower, I would say that is not the most plausible option. I would say that Bitcoin is likely to consolidate here to some degree and then try and move higher. And depending on if it gets accepted or stuffed, then that's when we end up moving lower. And I would say very similar for ETH in the current trading range, which, just to visualize, some consolidation here. We end up trying to move higher, either gets accepted or rejected, something like that. So good luck, happy trading. We'll of course be updating the Trade the Chain community with everything we do. And if you're not in there, you're missing out on all the juicy alpha. I post in there every single morning, trade setups, trade ideas. I was in there last night talking about don't fall for this. We had a member talking about short covering and things like that. So we always stay active. We always stay informed. If you're not a member of Trade the Chain, go ahead and get signed up at tradethechain.com. 14-day free trial. Plus it comes with this beautiful data dashboard and community of traders discussing trades and ideas 24/7. So that's where you'll find me for the rest of the afternoon. Good luck, happy trading, and I hope that we get a little bit of a reversal, and then we get to short it back lower, or maybe the heavens open up and we get some sort of fantastic news. I don't think that's going to be likely. I would prefer bullishness, but we have to play what we're given. So good luck, happy trading. See you tomorrow, unless you're in the Trade the Chain community.